All right then, watch the back for me, okay? You are good, still good, a little more, aha. My mother-in-law said that she was going to park the pickup truck, but she actually backed her car straight at me. She said that she accidentally stepped on the gas instead of the brake pedal, but one small mistake could have led to a major accident. Does she realize that? Well, if it's a mistake, there's nothing I can do about it. I thought that way, but she kept doing the same thing again and again, and she hit me really hard at the fourth time, and I ended up with cracked ribs. Enough already. What the heck does she think I am? My patience was reaching its limit, but a few days later. Kya! I've had enough, so I didn't go to help my mother-in-law with parking, but she ended up crashing into a shed. She was asking for help, but it was time for me to get back at her. I just packed my things and left. I am a housewife and I also work. I live in Tokyo with my husband. We met through work, and because we had a great chemistry, we got married right after we started dating. After we got married, we were living a normal married life, but one day, a year into our marriage, my husband called me out of the blue. What is the important thing you wanted to tell me? Actually, my dad has passed away, so my mom is left alone. What? Your father has passed away. Today, my mom called me while I was at work. I'm going to see her now, but we might have to live with her from now on. With your mother? Well, I'll explain everything in detail later. I was really shocked that my father-in-law has passed away, but he was quite old and had been ill, so it wasn't unexpected. It was inevitable, but I had two concerns. The first concern was that my husband might become emotionally down due to his father's passing, and second concern was that there is a possibility of us living with my mother-in-law in the future. Though I had these worries, I had no time to dwell on them as I was busy with funeral preparations and other matters. Starting next week, we'll be living with my mom. I'll take over my dad's company, and you'll become a full-time housewife to support my mom. Please take care of her. Huh? Moving. It's already decided? I have to take over my dad's company, and also it would be difficult for my mom if she lived alone. Although my husband didn't seem overly saddened by his father's passing, as for the other concern about living with my mother-in-law, it went as expected. Supporting my mother-in-law after losing her husband might be a family duty, but I had a reason why I can't be positive about it. That is my mother-in-law's bullying. She opposed our marriage, and even after we got married, every time I visited my in-laws' house, she bullied me in a way so that nobody else can see it, and the memory of those days came back to me. Despite my reservations, we went ahead with moving to my in-laws' house. Hello! I hope we get along. You're so late. Oh! You didn't bring any gift? Gift? You're going to live here and you didn't even bring a single gift? I didn't know that you had no common sense. I'm sorry. I understood what my mother-in-law was saying, but we had to move suddenly, and I had barely slept while packing our belongings. We had to sell large furniture and appliances, and it took time to dispose of them. I didn't have any time to buy gifts. I don't know if she didn't understand that, or if she made such remarks knowing the situation. From the first day of moving in, I wasn't in a great mood. I had to quit my job, and from now on, I have to spend the daytime alone with my mother-in-law. I couldn't imagine what kind of life it would be, and I had absolutely no positive expectations, but in a bad way, my predictions were not betrayed at all. I expect you to take care of all the household chores and cooking from now on. All of them? Of course. Why would I do the housework instead of you? I have to support my son's work, so I don't have time to do chores. Understood. But just because I'm not here, don't you dare slack off. If I find out you're slacking even a bit, you'll regret it. It felt as if I was becoming the household's exclusive housekeeper. I am your son's wife. Wouldn't it be better if we tried to build a better relationship? Maybe she doesn't like me, but the decision to live with my mother-in-law was made by my husband and her. So, I thought she didn't have to be so hostile towards me. However, to avoid further complaints from her, I tried my best to do the household chores diligently. Yet, my mother-in-law's demands went far beyond my expectations. Why haven't you cleaned the shed outside yet? It's your job, isn't it? The shed. It's become like a storage dump, so hurry up and clean it. Also, wash the pickup truck while you're at it. All right. I'll try to finish the household chores earlier tomorrow to do it. Tomorrow? Do it today. You don't need any rest, right? You're an ugly woman who can't even do household chores properly, so you should work like a slave for us. It's already past 8 in the evening, and if I start washing the truck and cleaning the shed now, I wouldn't be able to finish even by tomorrow morning. My husband is indifferent even after he saw his mother and me in this situation. There was no one who would help me in this house, so I had to obey my mother-in-law. I never expected my husband to not stand by my side like this, and I was stunned by the extent of my mother-in-law's bullying. If this is how it was going to turn out, I should have never accepted to live with her. I deeply regretted my decision. Since then, my mother-in-law has been making me redo the housework over and over, and she has also given me physically demanding tasks. My life was miserable. One day, she called out to me, "Hey! Come here for a moment. I want to park my pickup truck, so can you watch the back for me?" Okay. My mother-in-law has been using the company's pickup truck as if it were her own car. Usually, she parks it herself, so why did she ask me to help today? Well, there was no point in questioning that. I went out as she asked and was helping her park the truck. Then, suddenly the truck in reverse came straight at me. Ouch! What are you doing? I just mistook the gas and brake pedals. There's no need to get so angry. But it was extremely dangerous. It's just a scratch. You're making a big deal out of nothing. What do you mean nothing? One small mistake could have led to a terrible accident. Yet, she showed no remorse, smirking while saying that. I was about to lose my temper, but I managed to restrain myself. However, from that day on, similar harassment continued multiple times. Can you assist me with parking today as well? Understood. Lately, you've been making quite a few mistakes, so please be careful not to get confused with the brake and accelerator. If you make the same mistake again, I recommend that you return your license. Huh? Are you making fun of me? I don't mean that, but I do mean that you need to be careful. When you misstep on the brake and accelerator, it could lead to a serious accident with injuries or worse. Enough with the nagging. Just take your position. I couldn't let this harassment continue without doing anything, and I decided to express my thoughts, adding some sarcasm. My mother-in-law became instantly displeased, but I didn't care. I thought it would be fine if this stops her from harassing me, but it didn't turn out that way. Here I come! Kya! She backed up the truck with tremendous force, far surpassing her previous harassments. While in the past, she would stop just before hitting me or a small bump, this time, she rammed into me with great impact, and I ended up being slammed onto the shed behind me. I couldn't take a defensive stance at all, and the rear of the truck hit my ribs directly, causing excruciating pain. It hurts! I need to go to the hospital. What? It was just a minor collision. Your reaction is so exaggerated. Please. It hurts. Are you trying to play the tragic heroine? If you're so good at acting, why don't you get hit by a luxury car and claim compensation? You can make some money and you can become useful that way, right? After she said while smirking, my mother-in-law went back inside the house, leaving me behind. I was in so much pain that I couldn't get up from the spot, and cold sweat poured out of me. However, I managed to call a taxi somehow, and I was taken to the hospital. Fortunately, there was no bleeding, and though I had severe pain, I was still able to walk, so I didn't need an ambulance. However, I was diagnosed with a fractured rib at the hospital. I never thought it would be such a serious injury, and my anger towards my mother-in-law reached its peak. What does she think I am? I am not a toy that the wretched woman can play with. I will never forgive her, I thought, but I had to stay in the hospital for a while. Thankfully, my mother-in-law never visited me at the hospital, so I didn't have to see the face of someone I didn't like. However, I was discharged after 1 week, and went back to my in-laws' house. Regarding this incident, how do you intend to take responsibility? I won't let this slide. Taking responsibility? What are you talking about? Isn't that my line? Because you decided to get hospitalized on your own. Who do you think did all the household chores this past week? And my son didn't even come to see you, did he? He was angry too, you know. Is that so? Is that your instruction to him? I didn't tell him not to visit you, but he was complaining that there was no one to cook meals for him. Besides, I told him that it was an accident due to your instruction mistake. He might scold you when he comes back, even though my mother-in-law's malicious actions led to my injury and hospitalization. It seemed she had no intention of reflecting on it at all. My husband didn't come to see me either, and I couldn't understand what he was thinking. I can't live with this family anymore. I am sick and tired of living in this house with such awful people. Well then, I'm going to see my son for a bit. You probably haven't fully recovered yet, but please continue to take care of the household chores as usual. My mother-in-law said, and she left the house smirking as usual. I heard the engine sound of the pickup truck and knew she was about to leave. I was thinking that this was my chance to gather my belongings, leaving only the divorce papers, and get out of here. And that's when I heard a terrible scream from her parking spot. Ouch! Oh! Accompanying the scream was the sound of something collapsing with a crash. Wondering what had happened, I hurried to the parking spot while holding my ribs. There, I saw my mother-in-law, who had crashed the pickup truck into the shed. What? What are you doing? Did you take some drugs and hallucinate me? Or have you gone senile and really misstepped on the brake and the accelerator? Shut up! Hurry! Help! Do you think I'm going to help you? You left without helping me. Moreover, as for this, it's your own fault. I never thought you'd become an elderly person who would misstep the brake and the accelerator. I don't want to hear a joke. Perhaps she had really mistaken the brake and the accelerator. She had hit with considerable force, and the front windshield was shattered, leaving the truck in a terrible state. But why did she think I would help her? My mother-in-law left me without helping me in a similar situation. She showered me with horrible insults and left me, so there is no reason for me to help her. She wouldn't be able to complain even if I don't help her because she did the same to me. When you drive next time, make sure not to misstep the brake and the accelerator and run over someone. It would be a hassle if you were sued for compensation. Well, I handled it on my own in a similar situation, so you handle it on your own too. I said and returned to my room, leaving my mother-in-law. Then, I quickly packed my belongings and left the in-laws' house. I could hear some groaning-like voice from the parking spot, but I ignored it completely. However, I wouldn't feel comfortable if I just leave her and something happens to her, so I told my husband. I went to my parents' house, and while I was telling my parents everything that had happened, my husband called me. Hey! My mom's surgery has just finished, and she is resting now, but are you fucking kidding me? What are you thinking leaving her like that? What was I thinking? You shouldn't be complaining because she did the same thing to me. I was hit by a pickup truck that she was driving, and I ended up having a broken rib, and she left without helping me on top of that. It's okay that I didn't help her, right? Besides, I contacted you before leaving, which was more than what your mom did for me. That's not the fucking issue. You don't have a trace of humanity, do you? My husband seemed quite angry about the whole series of events, but isn't he getting angry at a wrong person? I reported him when the incident happened so nothing really bad would happen to her, so he should be grateful if anything. Why the hell are you getting so angry with me? You should be blaming your own mother. Of course I'm furious. Because of this injury, my mother might end up in a wheelchair. Her leg was fractured in a strange shape, and she might have some paralysis. Is that so? So what? It's none of my business, though. Don't mess with me. If you had taken her to the hospital properly, maybe there wouldn't have been any problem. Don't you feel any responsibility? Responsibility? Why is he trying to push all this onto me? When I was hospitalized, they didn't even come to visit me. Whatever the reason may be, his own wife had broken bone because of his mother, so isn't it normal for him to come to visit me in the hospital and apologize? I don't want to hear about responsibility from someone who can't even do that. If you're going to talk about responsibility, then shouldn't your mother also take responsibility? What do you mean? As a matter of fact, your mother caused me injury. However, since she was driving your company's truck, maybe you are the one who should take the responsibility. When I said that, my husband fell silent on the phone. I could feel his agitation, even over the phone. You sound flustered. Are you getting scared because I suddenly mentioned the responsibility? It's the same as what you were just telling me, isn't it? And you asked me to take responsibility, but I didn't do anything to your mother. This accident was entirely her fault, right? Even though it was a pickup truck, it should have had a rear drive recorder. All the evidence should be there, right? Well, just wait a minute, that's... Wait? What do I have to wait for? No matter how much you think or make excuses, the facts won't change, so there's no point in struggling. As I firmly stated that, my husband fell silent again. Since it was pointless to talk to such a person any further, I hung up the phone and blocked his number. And the next week, I informed them that I would be claiming compensation from my mother-in-law and my husband's company. My mother-in-law had been using my husband's company car, and the incident happened after she delivered parts for his factory, so it was during work hours. Soon after, I received a call from my mother-in-law's number. Hello! I saw the compensation claim documents earlier, but what's the meaning of this? There's no way I can pay that. That's right. Moreover, my company has nothing to do with it. We're family. Are you kidding me? Family or not, that doesn't matter. You need to take responsibility for what you've done. And causing such a serious injury to a family member like breaking their bones. That's just unacceptable, don't you think? I don't consider someone like that as family. I said, and hung up the phone again. I had no intention of interacting with them anymore, so I blocked my mother-in-law's number as well. I made sure there was no way for them to get in touch with me, and I left the rest to the lawyer. After that, thanks to the efforts of my lawyer, I received compensation from both my mother-in-law and my husband's company. We also got divorced, and I cut ties with them completely. They know where I live, which is my parents' house, but we requested a no-contact order during the divorce, so if they tried to approach me, I would report them to the police immediately. Maybe they know that, and there has been absolutely no contact from them since then. In addition, because we lived in a rural area, news of the incident spread rapidly, and the performance of my ex-husband's company declined. Furthermore, the rumors that she had bullied her daughter-in-law and even caused her serious injury has spread in my mother-in-law's neighborhood, and they are feeling quite uncomfortable. This rumor was true, so my ex-husband and his mother couldn't deny it. Also, because they had to pay me a substantial amount of compensation, they had no savings. They couldn't sell their old and poorly located family home either. The company's performance kept declining and they kept losing money, so they didn't have any money to spare. In the end, even though they wanted to move because they were feeling really uncomfortable due to their neighbors, they couldn't even leave that place. On top of the company's declining performance, it became difficult for my ex-husband to go to work because he had to take care of his mother who is now in a wheelchair. In just 6 months after the incident, the company went bankrupt. The company my ex-husband inherited from his father was a subcontractor's subcontractor at the factory, and it was a company that was not essential to their clients. As a result, many clients decided to sever ties with them and look for other options. After that, they've had no money, and the neighbors have looked at them with disdain. My ex-husband has to take care of his mother every day. Both of them have been living a stressful life. By the way, my injuries have fully healed, and now I live happily with my family thanks to the compensation I received. It's true that what you need in life is a reliable relationship, like a family that supports you no matter what.